Okay, guys, starting over. Welcome to the live today. We are talking about the 2023 recession. Yes, we're talking about a recession. I'm here to tell you we're in it. We've been well into it for a while, and it's just starting in real estate. So I apologize for the sound, but today we're going to talk about how to get rich during the 2023 recession. And unless you've been living on a rock, guys, it is here. So without further ado, make sure you use the comments and you post what market you're in, what's going on. And if you have a question, this is the spot to do it. So post it on there. And I would love to be able to answer your questions. Number two, if you want to go on live, it's real simple. Go over to Wholesaling Houses for Real, the largest Facebook wholesaling group that is active. It's not like deadbeat spam stuff like most of the stuff. And on that top link, you'll see the title to today's video. If you click on there, there is a link to go into StreamYard so you can connect with us one-on-one. I take everybody on a first served basis. So go ahead and get in line. You do not have to show your face. I don't care. All I want to do is help people out. And if you're going, what the heck is this guy talking about? I promise you I'm going to share everything we do here and help everybody out. So guys, use the comments. I love doing it. Make sure everybody plays nice in the comments. I think most of us are a like-minded set. There's a few stalkers out there. We'll deal with them when they come up because they always do. And that is it. So let me make sure you guys can hear me okay. Let's see here. Test, 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 test. So somebody just give me a thumbs up or something. Make sure the volume is okay on the microphone. I had to do some changes here before I came in today. So I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. So awesome. Awesome. So guys, use the comments. Jump in on the lives. I want to help out as many people possible. We're already focusing on 2023. Guys, I'm already there. So the business you do now is going to be most likely a derivative of what you create in 2023. So do not wait till 2023 starts because you know how I feel about wholesaling. Guys, there's no timing wholesaling. If you're excited about this and you want to get in, do me a favor. Make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com. If you're brand new to this, you're like, what is this guy ranting about? Me and my son, Zach, we teach with our 26 years combined experience. We actually 27 now. We teach you everything you want to know about wholesaling from start to finish, how to get your first deal, how to get you your first 100 grand. And we are working on a program to get people that want to get to that $1 million mark. I'll be sharing with you towards the end of this year. Now, everything we do is 100% free. I don't charge for you. So you don't have to worry about it. You never get confused. If anyone's running a scam with me and Zach, if they ask you for money, it's 100% a scam. Why do we do this? Because this industry is just riddled with scam artists, with people who don't know what they're doing. Honestly, if you want to use a paid guru or something like that, it's your choice. I would go to freewholesaling.com first because we just tell you how it is. And the other benefit of working with us is when you don't pay us gobs of money, we just tell you how it is. So I'm kind of like that uncle or that dad that's just going to tell you what you don't want to hear, but what you need to hear. And that's the key. So as always, guys, make sure you guys are smashing that like button. Put your comments below. And for God's sakes, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. And that way, you know, when we go live 6 days a week. I don't think anybody ever beats what we do because we believe going live is the best way to connect with you guys and keep everything completely authentic. So without further ado, you guys know where I'm going. If you're crazy enough to do wholesaling and you really, really love this business, you got to be a little bit out there. So I already told you all you guys, I'm ADHD. I'm self-admitted to it. I don't care. I actually embrace it. I told it was it was going to like kill me when I was going through school. I was never going to get a job. They were right on that. I never got a real job. I did. I tried it for almost 12 years and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I like to have fun during wholesaling. So I believe we can create teachable moments, but I like to kind of keep it fun because if you can't have fun at work, if you can't engage and make people laugh and enjoy it, please don't come into this business. I'm just being brutally honest. So what keeps my sanity in this business and how I keep everybody pumped and excited, I like to use humor because I think a good laugh keeps everybody sincere. So guys, let's get pumped up. You got to do wholesaling. You got to get up for it. You just can't go in and you can't do uncommon things with a common attitude. So let's jump into it.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and they got go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
So a lot going on in that video. If you've never seen it before, that's our intro song to freewholesaling.com over here at Flip with Rick. And I do it, number one, to shock you. And number two, like, I don't take myself like crazy seriously, and I actually enjoy what I do. And this is why I do it. You guys don't pay me a dime, like, period. And that's the really cool part about this. And we actually test products out in our business. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn. I've been doing wholesaling going on 21 years, and I absolutely love this business. So I'm passionate about it. So my whole goal in creating a legacy is helping out as many people as possible. There's some debate like, why do Rick and Zach do it for free? Why? Because we can't, period. I don't rely on coaching dollars. I never have, and I never will. Most people do coaching. They depend on all that money to buy and flip their deals because most of them don't truly wholesale anymore. So make sure whoever you get instructions for actually walks the walk and they actually do wholesaling, because most people teaching wholesaling, they did it and then they stopped. Why they stopped is beyond me. But if you truly have a good business model, that shouldn't be an issue. So let's talk about the things we need to do to take charge of 2023. And I'm going to take about 20, 30 minutes to go through that. If you want to get lined to do the online stuff, and make sure if you have a question, put it on there. And I will get to it. So hold on one second. Let me see if I can fix this mic. Let's see here. Hold on, guys. Let me check. Testing, testing. Is that any better? Let me know. Okay. I'll just speak louder. How's that? Hold on. We had some audio shifts around on it, so it is kind of weird. Okay, well, guys, I will make sure I speak up. So let's just get into it, because I want to get and talk to you guys. So I'll talk louder. So I am not the technical guy. So I'm going to use my little my iPad to write stuff down, because it's how I like to process stuff. So if you can't hear me, okay, hold on. Let me fix it. Let me. Let me see if I can have. Okay. I will speak. Let me try switching. I don't know why the mic's not working. Let's see. Audio. Test. Can you guys hear me now? Testing. Testing. It doesn't usually give me the. Okay, let's just go with it. Whatever. You guys didn't, you don't want to learn, you don't want to learn anything technology wise from me, I promise. So, okay. So everybody can hear me. That's good. So the first thing I'm going to do is going into 2023. And guys, I'm talking from wholesaling. Okay. Is I am going to seek motivation first. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if you follow this philosophy, understand that if you seek motivation last, you just spin your wheels. It gets exhausting, and I've done it. I did it for years, and I'm telling you, if you don't use the MCTP to snuff out full motivation, you're going to waste your time. The fundamental difference between a good deal and an okay deal is motivation. And if you don't have it, you're going to get killed. I have never got a good wholesale deal without some sort of motivation. And price alone is not a motivation. So what am I looking for? If you have a distressed house, if you have a stressed out homeowner, which I don't want anyone to be stressed out. My job is to take the stress off of them. So either the property's motivated or the seller is motivated. And if they're both motivated, it's a piece of cake. Often the property's motivated, but the seller's not quite motivated. And the only thing that fixes that is time and circumstance. And make sure you use your Podio or any CRM you're using to have really good follow-up. Okay. But I'm telling you right now, in 2023, if you don't shift to finding motivation first, you're just going to spin your wheels, because everyone's going to want to sell their property in 2023 because they're scared. So inventory shooting up. You already know where mortgage rates are. They're hovering around 8%, possibly could be sniffing out 8.5%. I don't think they're going to exceed 9%. I'm sorry. The Fed's already made, like they're waiting to do the U-turn. So it's so important to understand this. Guys, if this is the only thing you got in this video, make sure you understand you have to chase the motivation and get it figured out first. So many times when I talk to you guys on live, we go through a 30-minute, you give 20, 30 minutes, and then I always ask, what was the motivation? They go, I don't know. And if you don't know the motivation, I can almost guarantee you where the conversation's going. So that's the first one I want to make sure I do. The next one. You guys know, this information. I'm just reminded. Government lists are everything, because where there's smoke, there's fire, and you can cut through a lot of the crap. In the last 3 or 4 years, if you guys have been wholesaling before this, understand that you've tried every bell and whistle, you tried every new gadget. And I'm here to tell you, when markets pull back, it's best to go back to fundamentals. And what's the best way to get fundamentals? Oh, I'm not sharing the board. Sorry, guys. There we go. You have to have fundamentals. So the best way to have fundamentals is you have to find motivated sellers. How do you find motivated sellers? Government lists, probates, pre-foreclosures, evictions, divorce, tax delinquency. It goes on and on forever. I don't want to bore you with all this, but you need to understand that. The next thing I'm going to do is, with your contracts, you guys have to start incorporating now, right now, flexible terms. What do I mean by that? 30-day inspections. And that's for the good stuff. If you have a really bad property and you know it's going to be like, maybe it's an entire gut job and it needs rehab, don't be scared to ask for 60 and 90 days. Why? Because that's what I'm doing now. Number one, cash buyers are taking much longer to make decisions to buy. And number two, it's just the nature of the beast. Before this market, like 14 days was a long time. Okay. But like going forward, 30 days has to be like your narrowest window of time. And honestly, the tighter the deal is, the more flexibility you have to have. So if somebody will not come off their price, but it's a good deal, but the roof's bad and the AC's bad, go ahead and write that contract, but let them know you're going to have the property inspected. And that's going to open up the window for you to negotiate down. Now, this brings me to my next one. If you get the terms, you guys can do reverse wholesaling with your cash buyers. And what do I mean by that? Say you have a property and the seller's stuck on 100 grand. And basically you offered it, you did the go for no, you went really low. And the best you could get them to is they're just stuck at 100. Your target price was 85. You said your MAO is 90. So you've tried, you haven't got there. So I don't want you to put that type of property under contract knowing you probably got a 75% chance you're going to get out of it because you can't get them to budge. What I would do is take that information, do some basic pictures of the property, and then I would go out to my pre-vetted cash buyers and I would see if I can put a deal together. Why? Because if you can get a cash buyer to pay you, say 100 or like 105, then you can confidently go in and try everything to get them down to 95 and see if the buyer will budge and see if you can put a deal together. The only way I'm going to do this though comes to my next one is basically you have to have cash buyer intel. See, so many of you have learned the art is you don't respect and you really treat your cash buyers like a number, and that's going to blow up on you. So if you're just starting out, the good news is you don't have those bad habits. You actually have to spend time with cash buyers and you have to gather intel from them. What areas are you buying at? What's your price range? Do you like heavy rehabs? Do you like light rehabs? Are you ready to go? You want to get going? And then you can do some reverse marketing strategies on wholesaling. Now, yes, it is a little risky because you don't have it under contract, but if you know you don't have the right price, once you get the intel, so say on this $100,000 property, he goes, listen, I can pay you 100. I can't pay you a penny more. Now you can confidently go back to that seller. And if you walk out of there with a contract at 95, you can make a $5,000 spread. The problem is you didn't know before what even your cash buyers were willing to pay for it. And without that intel, do not enter into that contract. I hate to back out of contracts, but on the ones on the edge, sometimes you can make these things stick. So trust me, you need to buy these cheap. So my last one is the reverse wholesaling is you have to focus on your cash buyers and you guys are going to have to actually spend time with them. Like there's no other word for this. You have to spend time with the cash buyers. I don't know how else to tell you this. And this has been like, I guess the word poo-pooed on for like the last 4 years. They actually had a term for it. Don't work for your cash buyer. Guys, your customer is your cash buyer. And when things are good, I guess you can run them over. But when things are bad, you're probably never going to get the time of day from those cash buyers. I still want you to get the best deal possible, but it's really, really important that you understand that. So you know where I'm going with this next one. This is probably the second most important one. Actually, it's so important, I'm going to change the color of the ink. How's that? Okay. You guys have to go for no in 2023. So listen, before I even get into the one-on-ones, which I can't wait to do today, I promise you I'm going to talk to someone that says, listen, I got something under contract. I can't get a cash buyer to buy it. And what should I do, Rick? And I'm going to tell you, either get out of the contract or make more calls to cash buyers. And if the result is you pay too much for it, you have to use the go for no approach. So if you've never heard me before, you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this simple. By using the approach of go for no, you can now find your seller's rock bottom price without asking them what's your rock bottom price. And how do I do this? It's really, really simple. Take the most conservative ARV you can. And by the way, that leads to my last one here. Conservative ARVs. You want to take the lowest one. So if you had a range, say 200 to 220, 200 is the low one, and I'd probably take another 10 grand off on it and call it $190,000. So Jason says, I see it up here while I'm doing this. I'm looking at your notes while you do this. Trust me. Never Split the Difference. Actually, I've never read it. It's a good book from what I've heard, but I will tell you this. If you offer someone 50 cents on the dollar, and that's what we do, go for no. So if my value was 200,000, I said, Mr. Byers, listen, would you take 100,000? I kind of gave him like that uncomfortable scrunchy face. And one of two things are going to happen. Either they're going to reject you really hard and kick you out, which is rare if you built the right amount of rapport. Or number two, they're going to go, Rick, I can't do 100 grand. I spoke it over my wife. We can't take less than 130,000. Boom. I just got his bottom line price. And honestly, I use that as a working number and I only go down from there. So it saves you the embarrassment of saying, what's your lowest price? And honestly, guys, if you don't step up and have these uncomfortable conversations while building rapport, you are going to go for yes. And when you go for yes, you'll get it, but you're going to get the wrong price and your cash buyer is going to beat you up real bad. And after 10 or 15 of those calls, then you got to go back to your seller and have the worst conversation of all and say, listen, I got to get out of this contract or I need a $30,000 price reduction. So save yourself the aggravation. Okay. It's so important that you do that. Save yourself the aggravation and have the difficult conversation up front. So by using the go for no strategy, you don't have to spend more than 10 minutes doing comps. You simplify your process and you are trying to see if there's any motivation to sell the property. Guys, if people want retail, don't you want to find out like sooner than later? So my challenge with like the split the difference, if I offered 100 grand, say the house needed just regular work and say it's worth 200. And then he offered, says, I can't take more than 130. Sometimes the 130 is a good deal and you just take it. So splitting the difference works, in my opinion, like retail numbers, but when it comes to wholesale, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. So you can't get super greedy. Sometimes you just got to take the deal on the table. Okay, last one, and then we're going to help you guys out. Is what was the last one? So we talked about conservative comps, ARVs. I think that's about it. I'm trying to think of anything else that we can do to help you guys on it. Honestly, you got to be super consistent. And if you're having problem with consistent, schedule yourself. Create a schedule and follow it. Okay. And that will give you the discipline you need, because some of you guys go, oh man, it's too much to do this. It's too much to do that. I'm here to tell you, you're going to have to do this stuff, because at the end of the day, who's accountable for you? Is your paid coach accountable for you? They're not. You've already paid them. He or she just kind of gives you guidance, but at the end of the day, they don't care if you make it or not. I think everybody wants you to succeed, but there's no risk off their back, because number one, they're not sharing in the profit with you. And number two, they got 100 other students. So they're not going to, if you fail, they don't fail. And that's why we have a 95% failure ratio in the wholesale coaching space. And that's why me and Zach go out of our way to try to make everything completely free for you guys, because it's ridiculous. And by the way, any guru says, if you want to invest in yourself, guys, imagine your kindergarten teacher telling you, or your middle school teacher telling you, if you don't invest yourself, I'm not going to teach you this stuff. Like, we'd all be broke. So I want to pay it forward. I want to make as many people as successful in wholesaling as possible. Let me take this off the screen. And it starts with us just having these conversations. And the biggest difference between someone like me and if you guys are just starting is just the action you take. It has nothing to do with your education. Honestly, I could care less how educated you are. I mean, street smarts helps, but at the end of the day, in this game, it's whoever takes the most action and is the most consistent will always win. And if you're going to complain about your inaction, you need to look inside and understand you are just focusing on the result and you're not doing the action steps that are needed to get you to where you need to be. And there's no guarantees. Nobody can guarantee. No coach, me, Zach, anyone can guarantee. We're not coaches.
We just lead by example. So good leaders lead by example. And then you have what I call paid actors. Sorry, it's just what it is. It's the truth. There is a lot of paid actors. And the reason they're doing it is strictly to make money in their coaching program, because that's what they were taught from their mentor, and it's passed down. Me and Zach are here to break that generational gap. But with technology today and the art of being able to connect with you guys like this, it is awesome. So that is it on our teaching part. Guys, 2023 land is the same thing. You have to do the same thing. And the challenge with land is going to be getting a decent comp, because so the best way to get a decent comp is to talk to your cash buyers in the market that you are chasing these properties down. It's so important to understand that. So, okay. I mean, some questions getting ready to go online because I got a lot of people waiting here. Says, what's up, Thomas? Hey, Rick, I'm hunting on market deals. Which market do you think would be most beneficial to wholesale in that market it is? Honestly, I'm just going to tell you how I believe it, Thomas. I don't believe in on market deals because you have to hit so many, and it's just a huge numbers game. And there's no way to build rapport with agents in the way. Agents, you realize agents are like the defenders of rapport. Like, do not get to know my customer. It's going to be too hard. Like I did. And for that reason, I avoid on-market deals unless it's a particular property I need. That's just my choice. I would switch over and do government lists or go out and kind of hunt them on your own. I just like anybody who sells like an MLS marketing course, you realize they have to send like 300 offers to even get a shot to talk to one seller. And like, I'm not writing 300 contracts. It's absolutely, so Thomas, like there is deals on MLS, don't get me wrong, but, and they are available, but you usually have to go through a middle man or woman. And for that reason, they drive you nuts, and it's hard to really establish a relationship. So if you're going to do on-market deals, I would look stuff that's at least aged 90 days and had at least 2, if not 3 price reductions. Give that a shot and let me know if that works out. You guys know I'm not an on-market side. I feel like it's, I don't know, I almost feel like I'm cheating on myself when I do that. So it's, what's up, Jason? Jason's a longtime contributor. He says, Myrtle Beach has a population of 38,000. Is that too low? Can I include in the outlying area? I think that's enough. Like 40s would be the threshold, but 2,000, I'm not going to lose sleep over, because probably in a year or two, it'll be over that. So it's fine. It's when you get down into like the mid 20s, it's challenging. There's just not enough buyers, especially in today's market. And guys, one thing on 2023, just make sure if you're doing anything virtual or even your local markets, unless you know it very well, make sure you have a good sound population. 50,000 is the kind of the barometer. I've done them in 40,000. So I would 38, I would call 40 anyways, Jason. I think you'll be fine. So Gage asked this question, and I answer it in freewholesaling.com. But let me go ahead and answer it for you. What do you do if someone asks you for a proof of funds when you were getting a house under contract? So Gage, if you go over to freewholesaling.com, which is scrolling on the bottom of your screen, we teach you how to deal with this. Like, so there are steps I want you to take if you've never done wholesaling before, to do a preemptive strike and set yourself up. Find out what your credit is, what your situation. Do you even have the ability to buy a house? And be honest with yourself, because you need to know what your strategy is. So some people have had a decent job and decent credit, and technically they could buy the house with a mortgage. I don't want you guys doing that. But if you have the ability to prove it, it actually puts you in a good position. Number 2, go out and you can set a relationship with a hard money lender, which they do not like to do deals until they know you and you do all their paperwork and everything. So when you try to apply for a hard money loan for a proof of funds, if you're doing it after you have it under contract, it is much more challenging. So if you do that ahead of time, it'll help you out. Now, Gage, what I normally do and teach you guys, if you are working out and reaching with your cash buyers and vetting them and actually having conversations with them, they should be giving you a proof of funds to see if they'll do business with you. And remember, because they're your business partners, you can use their proof of funds to show your sellers. So you get over the proof of funds thing. So if you haven't done it and gone through free wholesaling, go through it. We teach you how to set up the whole thing. But if you have something under contract, honestly, or you're getting ready to do a contract, you're stuck, you need to be working with cash buyers and using their proof of funds, because that's who you're going to wind up assigning it. So guys, let's see here. We got a busy day. I figured you guys would be like resting today and relaxing and having a good time. I know I ate way too much yesterday. Probably way too much today. But anyways, let's jump on and take everybody on the live. Esmeralda, you there?
Oh boy!
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you, man. I'm just gonna do a little dance to show my extreme joy to see
Guys,
you.
listen, the more energy you bring to this show, the more I want to spend time with you and help you out. So it's
all right. I'll do another.
Life's challenging enough, so we got to have a good time during this 2-hour window. So, Esmeralda, what can I help you out with? What's going on?
All right, I have some questions for you, and then I have a joke for you at the end, and you let me know whether it's funny or not, because I know you like.
I'll let you know.
All right, so I'm in a virtual market because I live in San Carlos, California, and the median home price here is like 2.4 million. It's ridiculous. So I can't.
Woo!
I know it's crazy. I can't do this here.
How's the cost of living over there?
Enough for me to be like, I got to do this wholesaling thing because things are getting way too expensive, and I think
are you from California?
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I tell you what, you guys have an absolutely beautiful state. So I visited this summer, and it's a beautiful state. The rest of the stuff I don't even like know about, because it's just like I see so many people come to Florida from like California. They're like, listen, we love it. We just can't afford to live there anymore. I'm like, it's crazy because I love Florida, but like we're taking on some of the characteristics of California. Like our prices have really, really skyrocketed here, but it's challenging. Florida is because if you're not from the Florida market, it's a tough market to do virtually, because you'd be surprised how many people from California are in my backyard market, because they think, oh, it's so cheap compared to California. I'm like,
good luck.
So, yeah, I know. Okay, so you're doing virtual. So
Yeah.
What can I help you out with?
Yes. So I have the first question I have for you is I wanted to ask whether I should be concerned about the fact that so my virtual market right now is Dayton, Ohio. And I know I'm from what I can tell, winter, they get snow and it gets really cold over there. And I don't know if that means that maybe I should switch my market because things are going to maybe get difficult to, I heard someone yesterday on Zach's live, something about he lives in Connecticut and there's a lot of snow and it might get, heavy storms or whatever. And he was like, should I switch my market? And I think Zach said, yeah, you should probably do half and half, maybe somewhere else. And I thought, oh shit, does that apply to me? Because Dayton, Ohio is maybe the same.
How long have you been working on that virtual market?
So okay. Yes. How long have I been working on the virtual market? It's been about a month.
Okay. So you have a couple of choices. So full disclosure, I'm not like a winter guy. Like the only snow I ever see is when I go skiing, and I'm usually like my butt soaking wet sitting in it because I fall a lot. But so I personally stay away from cold markets. It's not that they're not good. Actually, Ohio is, I don't know if you guys know this. I'm not sharing any secrets with you. It's like the mecca of wholesaling. There's more. It seems like there's more wholesalers because the properties are cheap and people are moving out of Ohio. It's just like it's not. People go, oh my God, I got to move to Ohio. They're usually like born and raised there and they love it. Now, there's $40,000, $50,000 houses everywhere. That's the exciting part. I don't know how to deal with frozen pipes, and I don't understand like shoveling snow, and you can't see a lot of the house in the winter. But I mean, everybody has to deal with it. So you can take one or two routes. You can either rotate your market, or you can go, listen, I always tell you, it takes 90 days to really get established in a virtual market because it's a learning curve. There's no way around it. You have to experience it and go through the journey. So if you're committed to it, maybe the opposite approach. Well, if everyone else is avoiding it, I'll just dive into it. The challenge is going out and hunting the properties. But the reality is, say the house is buried in 3 feet of snow. if they're going to give you a super big discount, like, do you really care?
Right.
So if you're buying on retail, it would be a nightmare because, like, number one, you don't understand it. And number two, it's going to be hard to convince someone to go out there in the snow. So things just take longer in the snow. That's all I know. Guys, you're talking about a guy who shuts down when it hits 50 degrees in Florida. Like, we shut down. You would have thought like the roads are frozen over and there's 10 feet of snow out there. That's just how we are in Florida. Because then I have to put, I swear to you, I put on socks, and then I put on my flip-flops. You know you're from Florida when you do that because your toes get cold, but we don't like wearing shoes because it feels like so encumbering. So honestly, there is no wrong approach with it. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. The challenge is trying to get some boots on the ground to like go dig in 3 feet of snow to go like look at your property. But sometimes you can look at that as an opportunity. My problem is I don't want to own anything in Ohio because I don't understand. Like, you can't leave water in the pipes because it like freezes and cracks them. We don't have those problems in Florida. We're just dodging hurricanes, avoiding sharks, and running from alligators. So you have to make that decision which one to do. Me, I sometimes run. I like to zig when everybody else zags. So most locals like to shut down. Nobody wants to go out like when it's freezing. I have a friend that lives in Wisconsin. She tells me she has to plug her car in like 10 minutes. She has to plug her car in. They have to start it because you'll almost freeze to death going from the garage to go to outside. That's horrifying to me. And I think that's a little bit, but here's, Esmeralda, to understand, if you find somebody with true motivation, you're just going to need more time to get the deal done.
Okay.
So you're going to have to make the choice. So either you kind of stop now and go to a little bit warmer market to maybe to the south, southeast, or the Midwest, and then come like April, start that up again. But like, you date, man, those are some cheap houses. The key thing with any virtual market, you're really looking for the low hanging fruit because you're at somewhat of a disadvantage to the locals there. So which one do you want to do? Which one of like feels, do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So if everyone's going to avoid it, maybe you kind of dive into it. And if you like the market, do it. You got to get through 3 months of pain anyway. So you might as well get the learning curve over with. It's your choice to do it. I don't do it because I like to cherry pick my properties, and I don't want to own anywhere if it's vacant and the pipes are full of water and they freeze and they bust, because I just hear about all these horror stories, and I have friends that live up there, and I don't understand how people winterize a boat or do any of that stuff because I'm a Florida guy. So that takes me out, but don't be scared of it because I know a lot of people shut down January, like February and March, just because it's like a pain in the butt with the snow. But remember, I'm not the weather person. I'm not the person going out there. And honestly, if you find really high motivation people, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Your challenge is going to be boots on the ground. They're literally like boots on the ground. They're going to have to be like, what do they call those things? Like snowshoes or something like that. I don't know. You got to make a choice though, either way. Like, don't complicate this. Every virtual market, unless you're from there and you have familiarity with it has the local effect. So if you're not from there, it takes you 90 days to figure out what's a deal and what's not a deal. There's no way to get around it. Like, and even markets I've lived in the past, I lived in Tampa for a brief time and I did that market for a while. It still took me 3 months to figure out what was a good deal. So that's what makes real estate unique for all of us. You just can't have a corporate conglomerate come to your market and try to take over. When they do, they overpay for everything and they always go out of business. So maybe you just get through the pain and figure it out now, and maybe you have a little less competition. And by springtime, then you could really be rolling. But you have to make that decision what you want to do. The only problem with that, it is disadvantage if you ever want to keep a property. I don't think that's what you want to do. So
not yet.
It's personal. You got to make a decision and live with it. So if you like the numbers there and you want to do Dayton, you can either decide to power through it or you can come back to it in like early spring. But understand, everybody comes back to it in the spring, and then you're going to be 3 months till you get traction there. So I don't want you doing 3 million markets. I'm going to do one you have the most confidence in. So pick the one you are going to be most confident in because you need to have success.
Gotcha. So if this were you, well, what you're saying is figure out what I'm comfortable with. And
but like I don't like snow, but I don't let that be that's my personal preference. So I try not to go, okay, so how do I deal with it like when it's snowing? And keep in mind, virtual, are you going out and meeting people at the property? Yes or no?
I'm not.
Yeah, so you're not digging through the snow and doing it like that. So if you get a good deal, you got to get somebody on the ground to take a look and take pictures of it. Understanding that could take 10 to 14 days if you get like a bad blizzard or a storm. So back to my conversation when I talked to you about how to be successful in 2023 is you have to have flexibility in the terms. So if you have 30 days, I think you could get somebody out there in 30 days, right? So here's how you look at it. Like all the locals, they tend to shut down a little bit. So it might give you a competitive advantage.
Okay.
So listen, at the end of the day, you have to make the decision.
Yeah.
But doing it virtual, it's kind of like, think about it. It's kind of easy. So you do have to get familiar if like houses are winterized and like cracked pipes, because you do have to discuss those issues, because a lot of the problem properties, they'll leave you with those issues. And I don't completely understand them. So I've bought properties there and like I've had nightmares when they go vacant. And so I don't do like freezing environments. So all of you like in cold weather, actually somebody post me some temperatures because it's 82 out here right now. And I was just sweating like outside. I'm like, so we got a cold front coming through. So Esmeralda, pick the one that makes you most confident.
Okay.
And understanding you're doing a virtual, you're not digging through the snow. And if you get a good deal, if you have a 30-day contingency on it, you have plenty of time to find somebody out there.
Gotcha.
What else you got?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I've been cold calling this list, but I'm noticing that it's, I saw on one of your videos, maybe it was you or Zach, but it's a chewed up list. I think I heard that from one of you, where I'm hearing pretty consistently from people that I'm calling. People call me all the time. I get texts all day about this. Stop calling me. And I was like, oh man, maybe I've got a chewed up list. And then, I've been watching Zach do the Zillow lives, and I am scared death to do for Zillow for sale by owners. But I'm like, fuck, maybe I should do it. Like maybe I should just,
What are you scared of?
I'm afraid that maybe, I don't know. I feel like it's more direct. Like they do want to sell, whereas cold calling, it's much more.
So here's the argument. Okay. I get it. So when you call a for sale by owner list, Zillow, whatever list you have, the advantage is you get their phone number and they want to sell. The problem is they have little to no motivation. Then you go on the other end, you get say a government list or whatever, you buy a list, a high equity list, and you have no idea if they're interested in selling. You don't know their phone number, so you got to pay to go get it. But if there's motivation, you usually have a ton of opportunity. So it's like a seesaw. Which would you rather go after? So FSBOs work, especially in the market in 2023. They're going to get better because what do FSBOs need? What's the biggest motivating factor for a FSBO that's been sitting on the market?
It needs work.
Yeah, it's just time. After it sits, you lose confidence. So you guys have all seen this, and I've been this. Like you list a property, so exciting the first 3 days, right? It's like, oh my, FSBO people are so proud. They are so proud. We're gonna have a temperature competition here. Steve's at 49. But I got 55, 64. This one's scary right here. So the challenge is, which route do you want to go? FSBOs will be better in 2023 because when they sit on the market, it gets very defeated. So what is the parameter? Here's what I would do. So if I was going to call off FSBOs, here's what I would do. I wouldn't touch anything less than 30 days on the market. And if you can go back 60 days, it's better. Why? Because after 30 days, most listings just fall off the earth. Like there's no. So the only thing that fixes a 30-day listing is what? If the property's not selling in 30 days, what do you got to do to get activity?
I'm not sure.
You got to drop the price.
Okay.
So they drop the price. So now like, okay, every time they drop the price, maybe it's motivation, maybe they overpriced it. So if you're going to call off for sale by owners, look for stuff 30 days plus If you could do 60 or 90, even better, and look for at least 2 price reductions. Because what happens is everybody calls them in the beginning, and after 30 days, nobody wants to talk to them. So they're eager to talk to you, and then reality starts to set in. But you got to do you got to do a high quantity, because most of these people are a little bit unrealistic. Most people that do a FSBO, here's the honest to God truth. They don't want to pay realtor fees, and they don't want to pay closing costs. So right off the bat, they're going to take about a 10 to 12% reduction off the retail price. So if you know that, and know you have to get at least a 20 to 25, if you can connect with a conversation and wait them out, you can get a good deal. You're going to have to go through hundreds of them to do it. The worst thing to do to you, Esmeralda, is hang up on you. The worst. And we talk about tired and chewed up lists. I want you to understand. So like, if you ever like watch the Discovery's got a channel, like it's called Gold Rush. And it's just interesting to me because these guys spend like, they think like, we got $4 million in gold. I'm like, yeah, but you got $30 million in machinery. There's got to be at least 30 employees here. Nobody ever shares their net. And then they gotta pay for the lease of the ground and everything like that. But they're always talking about going through old tailings and digging up old stuff that the old timers did. Okay. I'm considered an old timer in wholesaling. We did different techniques. There's much more advanced techniques now. So every list is chewed. I don't care which one you go to. Everybody gets called, everybody gets mail, everybody gets a text. Just get over it. You have to just raise your standards when you talk to these people, and you have to find a way to connect with them because everyone's going to call them. I wish I could make it where nobody chewed on those lists before, but the reality is everybody does. And if you understand that, so go, listen, I know you talk to everybody else. I know you talk to the rest. Now you're going to talk to the best. You just got to kill people with humor, and you got to rise above what everybody else does, because it might get a little bit less, but you're never going to get a completely like fresh list. I think everybody in the United States has been called at one point. And if you haven't been called or texted about extending your used car warranty, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Be that used car warranty person. Because by the way, they pay millions and millions in fines, but they're making hundreds of millions of dollars. So like, who cares? So chewed up list, guys, it comes with the territory. There's no way around that. You are never going to get a perfect. I thought I had chewed up list in 2003 and 4, just to give you an idea. So the worst they're going to do is hang up on you. Like, who cares? The cold thing, you just got to make a decision which way you want to go with it.
Yeah.
So tell me your joke.
Okay. Oh, real quick, just to get your opinion. If you were me, you're fresh starting, you're just going to go for Dayton, Ohio. Would you do half, like, let's say, because I've got 5 days during the week where I know I could do 2 to 3 hours of calling. Okay. Would you do half Zillow, half cold calling the list? Or would you just go all cold calling? Or would you just go all Zillow? What would you do if it was you?
I'm not a FSBO guy. Like, to me, it's hard because people like the instant gratification because they want to talk to you and you have their phone number. So it's easy up front and it's hard when you get talking to them. As opposed to if you get a government list or like some sort of hopefully signs of distress, to me, they're nastier to you. But like, if I had to call 100 people off of code violation or 100 on a FSBO, the FSBOs it's an easier process, but it's usually a poorer result. Whereas if I had to call 100 people off a code violation list, all I need to get is 1 or 2 to talk to me, and I can usually make a $10,000 to $20,000 profit. The FSBO, like, the only thing that fixes a FSBO is time and circumstance. So most of the FSBOs that we do in our company, it's a lot of volume and a ton of follow-up. So it just makes you feel a little bit better up front because they're more open to talking to you and it's easier. So you have to decide which is the better fit for you. I already told you my opinion, but some people love that. I have a guy on here, he called 500 FSBOs all day long. He doesn't care. It's like, it's just a numbers game. He likes it because he doesn't have to pay for the skip trace and they're all wanting to sell their property, but you have to go through a bigger numbers game. If you want to take it a step further, you could go to MLS and do the same thing, but you got to multiply it by like 8 to get even the same result. You got to send out 300 offers just to get 1 or 2 to even talk to you, to even consider a reduction. It's ridiculous.
Oh, gotcha.
You just have to decide, you know, what's your threshold, what you want to do, and kind of go with it. So I like anything off market because all I need is the motivation. because off market's going to give you a much higher profit spread. On market, the reality, most FSBOs are 90% based on price, and price is not a motivating factor.
Gotcha. Okay, and one last quick question, then I'll tell you my joke. If it were you, and again you're still trying to get your first deal, you keep talking about the importance of spending time with buyers. Should I be doing that, like maybe like let's say 2 or 3 weeks out of my, maybe like half of the time?
It's easy. Like the buyer thing's not taxing. They're not difficult phone conversations. But if you're going to skip that process, you're going to have a tough time on tight deals because you have no idea what they would pay for it. And when I talk about reverse wholesaling tight deals, instead of the old school way where they throw everything under contract and figure it out later, you're in a completely different market. You got to get out of deals that don't make sense. So we have prices that are pulling back, which I'm going to show you guys here real quick when I get off with you, and then I'll take everybody else on the live. We are in a rapidly descending market. Where is it going to go and when's it going to stop? I have no idea. I know it. It's here for 2023. I can make that prediction. How far does it go into 2024? I don't know. I'm predicting 18 months, a year and a half of this. But remember, the market's going to tell you what it's going to do. And the market has no memory. The market just, a lot of government has influence over on the Federal Reserve. So understanding that, that's my answer.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Ready for my joke?
Yes, shoot.
This is from.
Oh, it's got to be clean.
Oh yeah, it's clean. It's clean.
Okay.
This is from George Wallace, and he was in China, and he bought some shoes from like a shoe store, right? And then he goes outside and he looks at the bottom of the shoe, and it says "Made right around the corner." No, not funny.
I missed it. So so George Wallace.
Yeah, he's in China and he buys a pair of shoes. And he goes outside and he notices that on the back of the shoe it says "Made right around the corner."
Made right around the corner.
Because he's in China.
Okay. I missed it. Okay. I didn't get the whole reference of him being in China. So.
Oh, okay. I'll try to get a better one next time.
But you're just going to have to make a decision, and you got to do what you're confident with. Because either way, you're right. It's just which way you want to go. And I respect you for asking me, because like at least you're asking someone that has walked the mile that like you're trying to do the journey on. But the thing is, once you turn on marketing and go in, like a lot of people think of like Florida, well, I'm going to avoid hurricane season. I'm like, every area has some sort of like down season. And honestly, the down season, in my opinion, I just think people are more open to talking to you, as opposed to spring. The flowers are out. There's no snow on the ground. They're like, everybody wants your property. And they're like, let me ask you, you think people get cheerier during like the winter, or they're like, oh, it's the winter, Guys, I'm telling you, you're going in 2023. You're going into winter, a cold winter. We're going into a recession, and we're going into like super high interest rates, and the economy's pulling back. So I'm all in. So that's what I would, it's up, but you have to have the confidence in what you want to do. So make that decision and make sure you make it first, and then go from there.
Yeah. I think just to set the commitment, I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to learn it, and whatever comes my way, comes my way. I'm just gonna...
So you're going to come out by the end of winter, like fully emerged and ready to go. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot with it. So, okay. Have a good one.
I truly appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, guys, I'm going to share my screen with you real quick, and then I'll get to all the other lives here. Let's see. So we're talking about 2023. Where's the screen? Okay, wait a minute. Present. Okay, let's see here. So in 2023, you guys should be able to see my screen here. So this is, which market did I do here? This is Boise. And I want to show you this trend. So obviously you guys know where we went with the market, and this is where we're at, okay? So we are in the equivalent of going into 2023. You're at the top of the roller coaster, and the dip's coming. And you can see these dips dropping. And this is where I come up with like the 2%, but it just doesn't stop there. Let's check Austin, Texas. It's a much more steep market. Guys, we are just in the first phase of the drop. We're probably going to wind up somewhere like right around like here. So we are just, in my opinion, the first quarter of like the real drop. So when your sellers go, hey, listen, prices are going to change, it's going to happen. It's not. These things take a lot of time to correct. So I've been in down markets before. I'm here to tell you, you guys are looking at a minimum 12 to 18 months. And that's if everything works out really well. And guys, there's a lot of people predicted we weren't even going to have a recession. And you know how that panned out. So if we're just falling off the cliff now, and just to throw you up like Phoenix, I'm just showing you some big markets. Once again, the same trend line is almost in every market. Top and drop down. So I want you guys to use, let's see here. I want you guys to use that Zillow just like it did and look at your market and see if you see that trend. And understanding it's going to be a ride down. We don't know how far down. No guru, nobody has the answer for it. I just know in 2023, we're talking about making a lot of money during then. It's going to be down. So I want you to understand when you meet with your sellers and talk to them, you want to leverage market conditions so you can truly get them to take action. So you want to create a call to action. So when they go, hey, Rick, listen, I have to think about it, wait it. I told you I'd give you an answer, but honestly, I think I'm just going to wait like a month or two. Mr. Seller, I go, let me ask you, if I come back on a month or two, do you think I could offer you more money or less money? He goes, well, it might go up. I go, but the market's already trending down. If you wait, you're actually going to wind up letting less money. Now, I'd rather buy it today, even at the higher price, because I'm going to sell it right away. But if I wait 2 or 3 months and I come back, I might have to reduce the price. Why? Because my cash buyers want to pay less. And that's the real challenge. So I'm not even really making more money, because until prices bottom out, we're not going to know that. And that's when you can make huge spreads. So use market conditions to leverage your sellers, because time is their enemy now. Do you know in the last 4 years, if they just waited 2 years, they'd probably get whatever price they want. Those days are over. So you have to understand that. So let me answer one question online and I'll jump back on the one-on-one. So what's up, Jason? Jason says, Rick, how can we approach experienced investors for mentorship? What would allow you to consider mentoring someone? Do we need a mentor? So the problem is the word mentor is like this muffled word now. A mentor is someone that you look up to for guidance that has really figured out the market and shown maturity to like make it. Most mentors are usually in the business minimum 10 years and often like 20. A mentor is like a grandfather. It's like a father figure, like they never go away and like you're always around, and as long as they're in the business, you can talk to them. A coach is in for a season. The problem with coaches, there's a lot of bad coaches. You guys have had bad coaches in like your Pee Wee leagues and stuff like that. Same thing happens in wholesaling. Unfortunately, it's worse because there's this new wave of people on the internet, and it's not just wholesaling; it's every business. It's how to be the coach, how to be the coach of the coaches, and they're telling people just take your passion and go coach people. And I think that's reckless because they're only doing it for the money. So what I would do is I would find someone in your local market that's very experienced, go to a RIA. And then the best way to work with someone is do some sort of joint venture or a partnership where one side's going to benefit a little bit more than the other. That way they know you're serious about doing it. By the way, I do this stuff with tons of people on like these live. There's people in this live. I'm not even going to like call them out or do anything. The time will tell. I do deals with them all the time. Why? Number one, they took the time to go to free wholesaling to understand how all this works. They know how to find motivated sellers, and they know what really good deals are because they've taken the time and the energy, and they've usually made like 100 grand. And then they reach out to me and go, Rick, I want to work with you. I go, let's partner up on a deal. And then I give them ideas and we share it. And that's how natural mentorships work. The one where you pay up front, you are taking all the risk on because that mentor, you have no idea what's going to happen. So remember, a mentor is a longtime person that stays in your life that really doesn't go away. A coach, I would like, if you wanted to hire a coach, I would make sure you hire for a very specific skill set and keep it at that. The problem is coaches are now trying to be mentors, and it's problematic because the only way you can truly mentor someone is you have to have experience. Okay. I've been on this earth 53 years. I got to tell you, when I was in my 30s, I don't even know what I was like wholesaling. For me, teaching other people wholesaling, it probably would have been reckless. So I didn't do it. And honestly, I was having so much fun doing it. Why would I coach when I was making so much money wholesaling? Most coaches are failed wholesalers. It's just the truth. I'm sharing it with you. So what I would do is I would approach somebody in your local market and help them make money. And if you help them make money, you can actually form a natural business relationship. And in my personal experience, that's the most healthy way to do it. But to get around like-minded people that want to do it. The problem is, I love the word mastermind, but mastermind is your new boot camp, by the way. Mastermind doesn't mean what it used to. Everyone's like, give me 5, 10. Most masterminds, they're around $5,000. Why? Because they all get together and they decide that's the market price they're going to charge. And everyone. And number two, they always have an element of a hotel or a destination. And it's usually going to add some sort of boat or like a lot of partying and like drinking type of stuff. Guys, if you only got 2 or 3 days to learn something from someone, you do not want to spend half the time trying to like ride on a boat or go to a fancy dinner. I promise you, if you get together with me doing wholesaling, I would deep dive 12 hours and like, that's it. We just go. So why waste time on all this other stuff? Why? It's just a distraction. It's just the truth. So be very careful with masterminds and make sure if you do a mastermind, who's ever running it is a 100% full-time wholesaler. Otherwise, you are just generating revenue for someone. Guys, do you know how many masterminds I've been to, like at the 5 and 10,000? They're just, I never get any, like the value is terrible. They always try to tell you what the value is, and it's just a lot of feel-good stuff. You cannot master this business in a day and a half. It's just not going to happen. You have to keep applying it and keep going every day. So, okay. David, you there? David, I hear you. David. Hey, David, I'm going to come back to you on the next one. I got Ryan. What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, Rick, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Let me see the top of your hat. What you got going?
Eagles all day.
Oh,
Eagles all day.
I thought the Bills were going to lose yesterday. I'm like, please. Your team scares me, man. It scares me.
Hey, yeah, like I ain't gonna. It's since they've been like good. Like I've been trying to get them, or not me personally. I just been rooting for them to actually do good. Like the last year we had Andy Reid. That was a bad year. I was sitting there just In fact, it was to the point to where
they're a lot of fun to watch. Like this year, honestly, and I think a little bit because my Dolphins are doing decent. The NFL just seems fun this year. There's so much movement going around with the quarterbacks and watching Josh Allen and I like to watch I like to watch mobile quarterbacks. I love Lamar Thomas. I think he's amazing, his skill set, but it's a dangerous business running around as a quarterback in the NFL. Those are just some big boys. And I got to tell you, that running back for the Tennessee Titans, he scares me so much. What a big 200.
He did a number on us.
He gets in that backfield, man. And they interview that guy, and he's like, I seek punishment. And he goes, I give out the punishment. And you can see the fear. Once he gets past those middle linebackers, man, he just drags safeties. And when the safety hits him, it's just like, that guy is absolutely a 260. You know how big that is? It's like,
yeah,
I would be horrified. And when you got like a 200-pound safety, it's like, well, you better go for the ankles because it's your only shot. And he's like, go ahead, target it because you're getting the damage, man. I find the NFL very intriguing this year, but that's enough of it. So what's going on, man? What can I help you out with?
Yes, sir. Well, I remember talking to you and your son, I want to say like 2-3 days ago. And
Yeah.
I was talking to you, and I was telling you I had a property and I had it a little bit too high.
Yeah.
Right now, I was on for sale by owner through Zillow, and I was talking to or not really talking to. I left a message, and he sent me pictures about the property. He's kind of interested in trying to sell it. My thing is, I'm trying to get the right comps. Now, I'm just wondering because I just now started using PropStream, and I want to know the comps on there. Are those accurate, or should I still do it manually?
Remember, they're all a piece of software when it's said and done. You just sometimes you just got to do common sense. So PropStream or Batch, Batch lets you customize a little bit more, but you guys don't need to be paying for all these software services. So if you have one, PropStream's simple, it's straightforward, and in my opinion, it's pretty cheap. Batch is much more sophisticated.
Is it more accurate?
It's good for a quick glance. And then you
Okay.
take, because remember, here, you guys got to understand, all comps come from what they call APIs, which is basically just a computer that pulls information and scrapes them from county data banks. You have the problem with non-disclosure and disclosure, but most of them have fixed it, and they've created, they simulate it. They don't actually get it, but they simulate it. It's actually pretty accurate. So do you have a huge disparity between Prop and like what you find on like Zillow or Trulia?
To be honest with you, it was a little bit. It was, I want to say, because PropStream had it at the average sale price was 190,000, and on Zillow, let me check real quick. It was. Sorry about that. Like I had it all up and I was just looking at it. Give me a second to pull it back up. Going through it. Now I can't find it. I can't find it. But I want to say it was around 300 and something. Like it was way off to me, honestly.
300,000 or?
Yeah.
Well, listen,
like it was on here, like the average.
You got to dig into it a little bit because it is a computer. So your worst case scenario, say you're struggling, always go to the property appraiser site, and they're going to have what they call a TAV. You know what that is?
No, sir.
So that is an acronym for tax assessed value.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
that's how you assess the taxes on it. In most counties, it's not all. If you could buy the property for the TAV, you usually do pretty well because they usually take about 70 to 75% of the perceived value of it, and they run it off like a computer background. Remember, taxes are supposed to be set on a fair basis. And once they get the number, then it consistently just kind of goes up. And if you use the property for investment, they don't shield you from the increases. And if you live there, they usually have some sort of laws. If you establish and follow the rules and homestead your house, it can't go up more than like 1.5%, 2% per year. So it doesn't price like an older couple out of there. So if you lived in a house 50 years and you bought it for 50 grand and now it's worth $2 million, you don't get taxed out of the home. So if it gets really wild, just go to the TAV and go, okay, here's the base, and then start doing the common sense test. Comps, guys, they're not perfect. They're far from perfect, but you got to give like a ballpark range. But if it gets wild off, go back to the tax assessed value. Do you see it at all? You want to pull it up?
I'm talking to you on my phone while I'm on my laptop.
So look at it and just use it, because like when we can't figure stuff out, we use the TAV as the we use that as the comp, and then we'll offer even a lower price from there, and that way you can figure out. Because most investors, when they look at the tax assessed value, they're like, man, if I could pay that for it, like I would buy that in a heartbeat. So in my market, it's about 20 to 25% off the retail. So it's kind of easy, but use that as a cheat sheet when you do it and see if that works. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it when I get off live stream with you, because I like how you are with computers. I'm really slow with them, so I got to like take my time and figure it all out. Like I got a whole bunch of stuff, but it's I got laptops and
you got to know somewhere, and you can take that intel and talk to your cash buyers and get flexibility on your deal. But is this on that current deal you were talking about the other day?
No, this was actually a new one. I just actually talked to him, or I didn't talk to him. He just sent me an email or a text message right now saying he had more pictures on the property and he was still interested in selling it. It was on for sale by owner Zillow. So I was just literally trying to do the comps right now, and then just try to get a little bit more information through the prop streams and try to be able to call him and give him a good price.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like you got it figured out, man.
Yes, sir. Hey,
Okay.
once again, thank you for everything you guys done for me. Like I really do appreciate you guys are awesome. Like you and your son are amazing. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, man. I wouldn't be doing this if you guys didn't like talk to me and give me feedback, because then I get like really bored. And then, you know, my wife wants me, like, when I leave the office, put up a bunch of decorations, all this other stuff. I go, maybe I'll do like a 6-hour live today so I can avoid it, because it's like, because I don't know if you guys have any issues. I'm the tall guy. Zach's pretty tall, but he makes himself scarce, because most of the ladies are why am I get in trouble with this? Not as tall as me. Does that sound good? So like, hey, can you get this? Can you get this down? Can you go up in the attic and get this? I'm just like, I feel like I'm kind of like abused for my height. And it's like, because I don't need a step stool for like very little stuff. So I'm 6'2". I'm not a giant, but like when your wife's like a significantly foot shorter than you, it's like, can you do this? Can you do that? It's like, man, it was a long night last night. And it's like, and now they're talking about doing all the decoration stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go work. So luckily I'm working on deals and I'm like doing lives with you guys. So I enjoy it. So let me know how that TAV works out. I think that'll help you out. It'll like give you a good base to start at. So, okay, man, who the Eagles playing this weekend?
To be honest with you, I've been so busy on this, I haven't even looked at the schedule. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I have not looked at it. I want to say, yeah, I'm not gonna guess. I think it's the Bears. Now I think about it, it might be the Bears.
Justin Fields, man, he's a pain in the butt. That guy moves, man. But it's always those young quarterbacks that come out of college. They think they can move around forever, and it's like, boy, it will. The NFL will teach you this, and it's not for long, because
yeah,
my boy
and our defense is getting stacked up too. We got Jonathan Sue now, so we should be doing a little good on the defense side now.
Yeah, my boy Tua got that message. He's like, the coach goes, stop running. These guys are gonna kill you. So
hey, but Tua's good in the pocket though. If he just sit back, good.
His first 2 years, he ran for his life, and now he's just like. But you know what makes him so valuable? He's just got such a quick release. So, but don't get me talking about football, because I get distracted. You know that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, man. You have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, man. See you. Okay. Kyle, you there?
Hey, what's up? I'm here.
How you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. What's going on, man? What can I help you out with today?
Nothing much. I was on yesterday with Zach, so 2 days in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, just getting started into the whole thing.
Let's see if he gave you good advice.
Yeah, so I'm in Florida right now, but I just kind of started like reverse driving for dollars. I had listened to a lot of you guys' stuff, and it seems like that's probably one of the more effective marketing channels to do like right away. So I've just been like throwing sticky notes on people's houses the last like week or so. It's going good. I'm getting like calls back, which is nice. I'm seeing so many different like properties, but I asked him like what like if I have prop stream, so I was like, should I do like pre-foreclosures and throw sticky notes on there? So because I'm just strictly doing sticky notes to start. I don't know. Let me know what you think, but I feel like that's a pretty.
I like the sticky notes. Honestly, I feel like an idiot because I didn't figure that early in my career, and I did everything the hard way.
Yeah.
And I'd like to take full credit for it, but it's probably been discovered in the last really 7. People started doing it 10 years ago. It just wasn't mainstream. And then we started looking at like, what would be the most efficient way to do this route? Because if 9 out of 10 people don't want to call you back anyways. So if you stick the thing on there and just to get the people, because I will tell you with sticky notes, a lot of people often overlook this. When you have a seller reach out to you on like an inbound call, it's a completely different. It's just a little bit different because here's how I look at it. Anybody who calls me off of a direct mail, a sticky note, anything I stuck on their door, anything like that, is there's only 2 ways. One, they need help and they don't know how to tell you their mess in the first 5 minutes. Or number 2, they're just time suckers and they just want to like beat them. They're the ones who call and complain about the Domino's and the Bed Bath and Beyond coupons. So you get a mix of both of them, but you got to understand, if someone's going to reach out to call you, they're either like a Karen type,
right?
Which I don't think most people are, or they're just trying to call to test you to see if there's like you're real. And they will test you in the beginning. And so to me, when they call, I feel like I at least have a shot.
Right.
I don't even care. Like on my team, when we get inbound calls, especially on direct mail, I said every call is a chance.
Yeah.
You have a chance. Why would you get upset when someone calls you? So we like to just like take every opportunity, because if they don't call, to me, that is the, so when I put something on the door, they don't call, you kind of lost on that deal. So when they call, you have to have the mentality like, oh my God, like, how can I help you out? You got to make it so wonderful for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, have you ever reached out to someone when you needed help, like in a personal, it sucks. Like,
Right.
if you ever had to like move, you like call your friends, but you might lose your friends. When I was young, I had a lot of friends that helped me move. I moved 9 times. They all like hid under the counter after a while. Like, don't call me, Rick.
Yeah.
And so when people need help, their pride gets in the way. And a lot of times, so number one is they're usually calling to see if you're for real, and you have to connect with them. So I
Yeah.
always tell people when they call, like, how do you answer the phone when they call you, Kyle?
They just say, well, the sticky note, I'll just say what the sticky note says. It just says, hi, my name's Kyle. I have a quick question. Please give me a call. And then my phone.
That's it. So
so then you just say, like, they're kind of like, hello, is this Kyle? And I'm like, yeah,
So a quick lesson on any type of inbound marketing you do, if you do direct mail, sticky note, a door hanger, most wholesalers have the tendency to try to put too much information on there.
Yeah, I saw that in your video.
So like, I don't know about you, like, but if someone other than my immediate family, if this is terrible to say this, when like people text me 3 paragraphs of stuff, I rarely go past the first paragraph, because I figured you're just long-winded and you just can't get to the bottom of it. So like, I already know what's coming, so I'm not going to call you. But when someone lays, hey, got a quick question, like the curiosity, it kills most people. And that's what you take advantage of on it. So when I do the ROS postcard, if you guys go to Mailing Mastery, I'm not going to explain it here, mailingmastery.com, I explain the whole thing. We actually put an offer on the postcard. People, it gets to their DNA. They're like, they have to figure it out. Like, how did you come up with this offer? That's 9 out of 10 people questioning me, or they're like, you're the only person that ever gave me an offer. So I figured this out. I spent $65,000 on marketing over a 6-month period to figure out how could I get more engagement from people. So the goal of any type of inbound marketing is to do what? Have them call you. If they don't call you, you're wasting your time. Number 2, you got to keep it legal and ethical. You can't do fake call urgent. Like, we have an urgent message for you. You're actually going to get in trouble. Like, it's against the law to do that. You can't do it on a mailing. You can't do it on solicitation. So you don't want to do trade bait. So I come up with the best of both worlds. So with the sticky note, we used to leave long messages. It was terrible response. Then we just kind of cut it down. And so when they call, you just want to make it personal. Hey, it's Kyle. How you doing? Like, right. A lot of people like, this is Home Buyers USA.
Right.
No, they want to go, hey, who am I talking to? And what is this all about? And that's where you just go, listen, you mind if I ask a few questions? And you just try to connect with them. Guys, if you will connect with people on a personal level, it's better. So many of you guys come from the corporate world and you think the corporate approach is it. It's actually the opposite. I've tried everything. In the end, I always wind up using my name or my son's name, because number one, like, we're okay with our name. Like, I don't hide stuff. So the more transparent you are with people, the easier it is. And I tell them, I make a profit off your deal. If you got a problem with it, like, let me know now, because I don't want to be a condition on the deal. So guys, the number one thing most people struggle when they do inbound is they struggle answering the phone. And I'm just telling you, just answer it, because the amount of energy it takes to chase them down when they leave you a voicemail or they hang up is exhausting. So you got to do 10 to 12 connections when you miss their call. Now, I get it if you're busy doing something, but call them back right away. And for God's sakes, don't ever text someone unless you're doing an SMS text campaign or they give you permission to text them. I have a huge pet peeve when people want to do business with me and I don't know you and they want to give like critical information via text. I ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, you want to give me bad news, call me with it so we can figure out how to work on it. So intrigue, guys, whenever you're marketing someone, you have to give them a reason to call you. And if you spell it out on a giant piece of paper, front to back, I'm done. Like, I get it. Like, you just talk on and on, like we're never going to get anywhere. And that's who I am. So most of my postcards, people like laugh. They are so simple. Very, very simple. call to action and a big phone number, put it on there twice. The
So
more you put on like a sticky note or anything, the less likely they are to call you.
right. Yeah, I was watching some videos and I picked up on that trend. You guys kept saying it, so I'm like, all right, I'll make it simple. But real quick, if you like, let's say you put a sticky note on my door and I called you and I was like, hey, is this Rick? Like, how would you answer it? Just out of curiosity.
You talking about the voicemail?
Yeah, like if you, let's say, put a sticky note on my door and wanted to buy my property, and I'm about to call you, like, hey Rick, I got your note. Like, what's up? Like, what would you
Is it live versus a voicemail?
live.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to treat it just like my friends calling me. Hello. And they're like, hey, who am I speaking with? I go, my name's Rick. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? So every exchange in the beginning, you want to try to get as much information from you as you can. So if you can get a name, and obviously you probably capture their phone number through whatever they're calling you through.
Yeah.
And that's how you want to do it. So if you guys want to get a little more sophisticated, you can use software tools with the phone companies. Like CallRail's a little bit more like, unless you're doing this like full time, like a lot of heavy mail, CallRail's amazing. I mean, what CallRail can do, blow your mind. So if you guys want, CallRail, I think is between 60 and 70 bucks a month for the basic one, and it goes up to 300. So it's not like a cheap service, but they record all your conversations. Like if my staff is busy, after 4 rings, it rolls to the next person. And then I have it where it gets to me. And I tell people, if I answer the phone, like, we got to talk about people's pay plans, because like, but I never want it to go to voicemail. That we try to prevent it at all costs.
That's cool.
We even at one point when I had a lot of people working for me, when I had a big one, whoever answered, so it would ring to four different acquisitions people, and whoever answered it first, but it created a lot of turmoil in our company. So don't ever do that. So, but honestly, I'm going to treat it just like it's a regular phone call. And I know it's coming in from that. So your phone should be set up to where it's identified. Call it sticky notes or whatever. And when it comes in, you go, okay, I know it's a sticky note. I've invested time. I pulled the list. I drove the route. Why wouldn't you take as much time as you can answering the phone call correctly? Because all that work culminates to when you get that phone call. And you only get one first impression and it's done. When it goes to voicemail, then you just start chasing them. Like, and here's what I say to everybody. Do this, guys. If you have a chance, write down all the bandit signs in your area, especially real estate related. Try to call. If I call 10 of them in my area, if one answers the phone, it's a godsend. It's unbelievable how bad people are with this stuff. And by the way, it goes on in every market. So don't be that guy or gal that doesn't answer your phone, because if I want to sell a property, I'm moving on to the next one. You don't answer. And then what happens is when they start answering these calls, they're like, oh my God, they actually give a crap. It is a real person. Okay. And then you just get into it and start talking to them. But once they're comfortable with you, Kyle, then they'll stop calling everybody else. And by the way, I don't think you need to do it on sticky notes, but if you do a direct mail campaign or anything like that, when you get them on the phone, it's like, do me a favor. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run some numbers. I'm going to take this data. Give me an hour. I'm going to call you back. Don't call anybody else. I literally tell them, I want to surround them and go, listen, I got you covered, because I don't want them calling around pricing their house to everybody. And usually most people are pretty good about that. So, or they'll tell you, listen, I got 5 other people making offers on them. Like, okay, well, call me when you clean up all that. But the short answer is answer it like someone's just calling you, like a friend or a family member. Hey, hello. Hey, how you doing? And that's it. I just say hello.
Yeah.
Complicated. I know. You guys do these slick corporate ones, like you scare people with it.
Yeah. My next question is, Zach told me, like, he was like, all right, yeah, do like pre-foreclosure lists and like reverse drive for dollars for that, and then probates too. So I got into like the probates thing. I've like figured out whatever, but a lot of the representatives, it's hard for me to get their contact info. Like I can't seem to find them for some reason. So I was just curious if you had any advice on like probate information, as far as like what to do when you can't
which
find.
Which state are you in?
I'm in Florida, Tampa.
Okay. So getting the information is the biggest challenge in probates, like bottom line. That's the hardest part. Yeah. So you're going to have someone that files the petitioner, which 9 times out of 10 winds up being one of the heirs to the property, and most likely usually correlates with the the PR, the personal representative, or the executor.
Okay.
So once they file for a probate, if you find the information correctly, you're looking for the PR. That's it. I used to chase down the heirs. It's a waste of time, the drama. It'll drive you nuts. And once you have that PR, that person has the legal authority to enter into an agreement. If you can connect with a contract with them before the attorney gets in your hair and gets in the way, you can do phenomenal deals. You do not have to wait till a probate is done in the state of Florida, or for most, I think 38, almost 40 states out of the country. I'm not going to go into details on all of them because there's a lot. 3,500 counties, guys. This would take me 6 months to go through every one of them. They can actually sell the property before the probate is complete. It's just the attorney has to file a motion to liquidate the asset, and all the judges, as long as we have consenting parties and the right signatures, they don't care what the price is. I've only been asked once about a price on the house. It was a complete gut job. And once I showed them contractor bids and pictures, the judge was like, that's fine. So the biggest challenge is trying to sort through the information to get PR and figure out what to do. I like to mail to them a letter, and I provide the letter in the course. And then if you can cold call them, and I kind of call it a warm call. You got to just be like a really nice person, because it's not the easiest phone call in the world to make. But I learned a long time ago, I let my pride and ego get in the way of like cold calling these people because I didn't think it was right. And my son goes, if you don't start doing it, all the realtors and the other wholesalers are going to beat you out, and we can't help people out. So my son brought it into our business, and actually he was right. So sometimes you just got to let your ego go. And I tell every one of you guys, you got to drop your ego to be really successful in wholesaling.
Yeah.
People start to make money and they think they're right about everything, and you're not. And sometimes you got to have like a young man or a young woman go, hey, why don't we try it this way? And if you're not open to it, you never learn new things. So the biggest challenge is just getting the information for the probate. So sometimes you go down to the courthouse, sometimes you can get it online, and you have to learn how to read each case file. Florida's tricky, man. Like, it's like a lot of information on there. You have to just get the PR, and you have to concentrate on them. Now, if you want to simplify it, you go, man, I don't want to be sorting through this, but I can get everyone who's in probate. You can simply cross-reference anybody who owns a property in your county or your county, your tri-county area. And then you can mail to the estate of John Doe, and you don't have to go into all the details. Now, it's going to be a little less effective because it's not as personal, but you'll get a lot more volume out doing that. I've done that before when we get backed up. Like, hey, you know, she's on vacation, or he's like on MIA, one of our VAs. I go, listen, just do the John Doe effect. What's that mean? You take all the properties that are in probate and you just send, so you can always find a deceased person because their name's still in the deed. That's why you're doing the probate to change it. Now, when you mail a letter to the estate of John Doe, it goes to that property. Do you think someone's picking up the mail for them?
Probably not.
They are. So
okay.
Like, people are obsessed with mail still to this day.
Okay.
It's just a little less effective. So if you can get the PR mail to them and give them a phone call. Why do I say mail? Because some people prefer the mail over the cold call. So when we cold call, if you get hung up and lit up, I've had them reach out to me and mail. They go, I respect you because like you didn't cold call me like all those other like slime balls. I'm like, so we do the McDonald's like Burger King approach. All these ways will work. You just got to find a way that like won't drive you completely nuts. Doing the John Doe approach simplifies if you don't have a lot of time in your life and you want to do it that way. It works. It's just not nearly as effective because it's not very personable.
Yeah. So for the probate, you said that you can. So when they file it on like the county, and it shows the PR, the attorney, and then the descendant or whatever. You can get it under like. Is that attorney representing that, like them in that case? So like, do I just try to like dodge that attorney pretty much and go straight to them?
Talking to the attorney is a little waste of your time. I've tried it. I thought, like, so who's in control in a probate? Who hired the attorney?
The PR.
There you go.
Yeah. The
PR is always in control. Do you know the reality is that most attorneys try to tell the client they're in control, and they will they will take on like a really aggressive personality with it. And so here's how you beat it. Find somebody that truly wants to sell the house and try to help them out. The reason why you can sell a property before the probate is complete is common sense took over in the law because people got stuck with paying mortgages, utilities, shoveling snow. They got stuck with them during hurricanes, and it ate away at the estate. So they came up with this little loophole, which makes sense. And you can save the estate sometimes tens of thousands of dollars by doing this way. Also,
Right.
you give the seller certainty, which if you've ever had somebody pass away in your family, it's very stressful. And like one more thing off their plate, they don't have to worry about it, especially if they live out of state. It just makes everything a whole lot simpler. So the reality is if you can enter an agreement with that PR, then you don't need the attorney's permission for everything. Here's what happens about half the time is the seller go, my attorney told me not to do anything without running it by him or her. And you have to respect it. But I'm just telling you, it is hard because what does the attorney want to do? He wants to delay the process as long as possible because they could drag out the fees and
Yep.
it's not needed. Most probates are very, very simple. And in the state of Florida, most people do a summary of judgment, which basically gets their property out of probate, and they don't need the attorney past the first 30 or 60 days. So most attorneys will drag it on as long as a year. Why? Because they feel like they can get paid. And then number two, if they don't think your price is fair, they look at you as the enemy and you are eating into their billing hours. And so they're going to suggest an appraisal or something like that. Why? Because he knows that you're never going to pay retail for it. And then who has to pay for the $500 appraisal? The client does.
Yeah.
The client goes, I want to get rid of this house and get it sold. I don't give a crap. And so many attorneys get in the way. So the best way to counter it is move with speed. Do you think attorneys move with speed? Yes or no?
No.
They're brutally slow. A lot of times I'll put a contract together with a PR and they go, listen, I told my attorney I'd run it by him. Okay. How long do you think she needs? She goes, I think 2 or 3 days is fair. I just kind of laugh in the back of my mind. I go, it's not. Attorneys want 2 weeks to review anything. And after about a week, they get really frustrated. They go, screw it. I'm just going to sign it. I'm like, good for you. Like,
Okay.
and then the attorney, that's the only time the attorney ever calls you. Did you enter an agreement with my client? I'm like, I don't know who you are. I just play stupid when they call me because they just want to light you up. I'm like, I'm not, well, you know, you legally can't enter that agreement. I go, so that's why you're calling me. Right. So, by the way, if you try to call them, they will never, ever take your phone call ever. So listen, not all attorneys are bad, but when it comes to probate, if the seller wants to sell you a house at a discounted price because it's a problem, then you guys enter an agreement. If they are ultimately in charge, if the attorney wants to give them advice, but do you know I've had attorneys try to backdoor and buy the property? I had 2 do that to me. One had to go to a hearing over it. And the other one actually got kicked out of law for it. Like, apparently they do it all the time. So they will do the slipperiest stuff. You have no idea. The more you can cut the attorney out, because the reality is if he or she wants to sell you a discounted property, what business is the attorney to tell you what price it needs to be?
Right.
So attorneys tell you constantly can't meddle in their affairs, and all they do is meddle in ours. So do not try to get that attorney permission because you're never going to get it.
Yeah.
So you're better off entering. I push like crazy. I'm like, and I never badmouth the attorney. I'm just like, listen, you hire the attorney, you make the decisions. If this is what you want to do, go ahead and do it and put it to sleep. You still got to pay your attorney for what they do. This, in my opinion, just expedites it and gives you complete clarity and certainty. Why do attorneys tell their clients that you cannot sell the property till the probate's complete? Why? It's a 100% lie. It's already proven in court. I've done it probably 300 times. I know it's a lie. They, in my opinion, should be disbarred for giving out information like that. Why? Because they're trying to protect their client and they're trying to make as much money as they humanly possibly can.
Yeah.
I just had a probate. I was involved in 2.5 years and it got ugly. And I just did the right thing and I got out of the way. So what happened being $1,500 in attorney's fees wound up in $23,000.
Wow.
And here's the best part: it's a $100,000 house. So you're telling me the attorneys are going to take 23% of the value of the equity in this? It's a joke. And then they started beating me up. I go, listen, I told the seller, I don't need this. Like, they wanted to depose me in court, stuff like that. I'm just the buyer. I don't owe you guys anything. And they go, well, they're in complete control. And the problem is they need the money from the sale to pay for their fees.
Right.
2.5 years, you can run up the numbers because it's $400 billing them per hour. So most of my probates are wrapped up within 90 days. So you're in Florida. It's easy to answer for you. It's simple. You can buy a property before the probate's complete. And so in your marketing, anything you do is say, listen, I have a technique that I can actually buy your property before the probate's over. Is that something that you want to talk about? And then that usually gives me the key. So instead of telling them over the phone, if you can meet with them in person and go into detail, you'll do a lot better.
And is there anything special you have to provide, or is it just that's it? Like you just sign the contract?
You have to have leverage. So your leverage is you have to have a contract. Once you have a contract, then all you do is contact your local title company. Go, listen, I'm in an agreement with the seller. They've opened up a probate. What do I need to tell that attorney?
Oh, nice.
To do the sale? And that's it, because I don't like, you don't need to hire an attorney and they'll tell you, oh, for me to bring this to closing, I need an order and it'll say this.
Okay.
Like, okay. And then you go back to your client and go, listen, you're just gonna have to tell your attorney that they need to enter into this motion. And the attorney usually gets pissed.
Yeah.
Because they,
or I'm like, hey, he's probably gonna get pissed because he's not.
They don't share it with anyone. And like, if they'll call you up and go, I'm sorry, I don't think you work for me. Like, I'm an ass about it, man. Because I don't need the attorney's permission for. Once you have that contract, there's nothing the attorney can do. There's nothing they can do, and they know it. So they're going to try to scare you and try to like make you run away. I'm like, no, I'm not going to run away. Every now and then you got to just walk away from like really bad deals. So that one I was talking to you had like 15 errors, and they kept coming out of the woodwork because the attorney. But the problem is we had it ready to sell, and the attorney just kept like. I think we wound up with 7 attorneys. I go, man, I don't need this much hassle in my life.
Yeah.
And then they wanted me to buy 10% of the property of the heir that I entered into the agreement with. Unfortunately, she wasn't forthright in sharing all this complication that was coming out with the will. And I just decided to move on. And then I'm the bad guy, but the attorney's charging $23,000. I go, listen, you're getting horrible advice.
Yeah.
And the attorney called me up and then they threatened to sue me. I said, sue me. Like, knock yourself out. Sue me. What are you going to sue me for? Writing an offer?
Yeah.
23,000. I don't even know how you justify it. He goes, well, it's been 2.5 years. I go, it's 2.5 years because you don't know what you're doing. So I love probates. You're fine with it. Just leave intrigue when you market and talk to them. And just don't tell them over the phone, because when you do, the attorney's going to try to shoot it down instantly to them, and just to explain it to them.
Yeah.
And by the way, if any attorney ever wants to come and challenge me online, I will bring my attorney on and I will show you cases and proof. I've done it all day long. So I already know what the motion is. I'm not an attorney and I'm not here to give legal advice, because that makes me reckless. So I'm not. Just check with your title company. They'll tell you exactly what to do. Hey, I need this. It's one document. Cool. And then all the judge goes, you understand a judge's job in probate is to make sure people are following what the plan is. So if their plan is to sell the property, they're the heirs. If the seller agrees, the buyer agrees, and it's not like a crazy price, then they're fine with it. The court told me they don't care what the price is. They just want to make sure it's legal. Like there's no fraud. It's not like going to the brother or the sister. It's fair. So.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. One last question, if you don't mind. So what about a property? Because I came across one where people were dead, but there's no probate going on. Can you like help a seller if you find the potential PRs to that deal? Could you bring them and like facilitate the probate for them?
Repeat the first part of that again.
Yeah, like if I come across a property where the people who own it are dead and it hasn't been in probate yet, can you like help?
Yes, that's like, honestly,
you bring the attorney to them and like help them go through probate. Is that
that's probably one of the best ways to get a deal.
Okay, cool.
But you know, a lot of people avoid probate because it's overwhelming and very confusing to them, and they just think it's going to be like super expensive. A lot of the properties you guys are going to find out if you're driving for dollars, especially if you're out doing the challenge right now, is you'll find and they're like, well, my mom died 3 or 4 years ago. We don't have money. Like we barely can keep the lights on. How do you want me to pay an attorney? So all you do is get the information. Now, most of the time is if you spend a little bit of time educating your probate, your title company can walk you through. Here's why are title companies so valuable? Because they know what it takes to close a file. And I go, listen, they'll ask you. So simple things you want to ask: do they have a will? Okay, and if they die without a will, it's called they die intestate without a will. It's a little bit more confusing without a will, and it takes a little more time because the whole process of probate is to decide to make sure that the deceased final wishes are carried out per their instructions with the responsible party. So a lot of people just go, listen, I don't want to do it. Like, I'm not paying. They told me it's like $3,000 to $5,000. So here's what I'll do. I go, if they have a will, it's much more predictable, the outcome. But if you don't have a will, you got to find out, okay, who's going to come out of the woodworks to claim this property? And you'd be surprised. Do you know who mostly comes out of the woodwork when there's no will around? You're never going to believe this. You're right. You always think it's the heirs, right? It's the attorneys. Do you know that attorneys use sophisticated software and marketing companies? When people die intestate without a will, they send them a postcard. You know what the postcard says? Hey, do you know this property address? Do you know you might have money coming to you? And then basically call this number to learn your rights. You could be getting a big payday. Wow. And then they call the attorney gets them to sign a retainer, and now the attorney represents their interest, and the attorney takes 70% of it. It's like crazy number. I don't even know. It's like obscene. And that's the problem when people die intestate, especially in the state of Florida. It's like automatic. And all the letters are generated out of Boca Raton, Florida, or Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because there's mill houses out there. So if they die with a will, you're a little bit more protected, because all of a sudden wills start like coming up out of nowhere. It's not that easy to create a will after someone died. A lot of people do it. When they have it, if the property has issues and they really want to get rid of it, here's how I look at it. If you do nothing the way it is, what would they get in the long run for that property? How much money? Zero, right?
Yeah, okay, you're right.
So all of a sudden your offer seems really appealing. Yeah. So what if I could get you $5,000 or 10? Like, depends. Like if there's good value in it, but a lot of these properties are run down in the rough. They're extreme. So I'm only talking net numbers when I talk to people like this. What if I could get you $5,000 out? You have to cooperate. And then what you do is go, if you would enter into a contract with me. So if they do the contract up front, the story kind of checks out. And what I would do is then I go find my attorney, and usually $1,500 used to get all these done. If nobody has to go to court, it's easy. When you have to go to court, it costs money. So $1,500 used to get it done. I'd probably say $2,000 with the increase in prices. So it's about $800 in court fees on average. So say $1,000, and then you usually have to pay an attorney $1,000 to file a motion or do something for you. Now,
those get paid when it all closes, though, right? So those get paid through that.
You can negotiate with the attorney. So here's what I typically do. So in the beginning, when I didn't have a lot of money, I'm going to take all the information and I'm going to go to a title company and say, listen, what do you think the odds of this thing like going through? They're like, I think it's really good. No. Give me a number. If it isn't 70% or higher, I won't do it, because it's like you have to win more than you lose.
Right.
So if it's like your first deal, understanding for an attorney to take it, go, listen, what do you need to get it started? Usually they want $1,000 up front to cover the legal fees. Most of them want $1,500. But by the way, you guys can find paralegals. Go on Craigslist and Marketplace, find paralegals in your area. They'll negotiate the crap out of this stuff for you. But the legal fees, they have to be paid, so they got to be paid up front. So usually it takes about $1,000 out of your pocket. Yes, you have to fund it to a point. But if I can take $1,000 and turn it into $50,000 with like a 70% probability, would you go to Vegas on those odds?
Yeah.
I'd go all day long. And that's how I do this. I always have 10 of those going on, by the way. They take time, though. So they enter into an agreement. I'll also record something in public record under the advice of my title company and attorney to protect my interest in the property so they can't go around my back. So I usually do a mechanics lien for $1,000 or like $2,000 against the property in case they stiff me, because you do run that risk. I'll fund the attorney. The attorney goes, listen, this will take about 90 days. And then what I'll do is if the attorney will let me finance it, I'll let them charge a higher fee at the end. So if I thought I was going to pay an attorney $2,000, I'll give them $3,500 if they let me float it till the closing.
Okay.
So I'm risking $1,000. I look at it as like, I'm going to put it on black or red, but If I knew I had a 70 to 80% probability, I'd do it all day long. Those are the deals I make $50,000, $60,000 on all day long.
Okay.
Because you're providing a service, right?
Right.
They would get nothing if you didn't help them sort this mess out, period. And that's how I do them. And that's what I want to do. Now, you can go a step further. If the house is vacant and in good shape, you could put it under contract, or you could put an option on it, and you could rent it out and have the renter pay for the attorney while you're doing it. But then you got to like eventually get them out of there. And if you don't want to rent it out, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I rather just do like the grand to be done with it. You can find private partners to fund this. Go, listen, if you give me $1,000, I'll double your money. You got to give me 6 months though. So there's ways to do it if you don't have money. But my favorite probate deal is to do it. It's kind of what I call a pre-probate. They go, listen, I would love to do it, but I've already tried to sell it with a realtor, and they told me without a probate, I can't get this done. You think the real estate agent would just pay for the probate. And by the way, you can't hire the attorney. They have to hire the attorney. You can fund it, but they are still under direction. So you got to make sure they're 100% cooperative, because if they're not, it's a nightmare.
Okay.
You do run the risk of them disappearing or not doing anything. But honestly, guys, $1,000, if you get a 50 times return, it's an amazing deal.
Yeah.
The best probates always come from that. Why? Because they don't really care what the price on the house is.
Yeah.
So do that, and then honestly keep the money until they cooperate all the way to the end. Because if you give them money up front, it's a nightmare. Like you'll never see them again. So I did a deal with this. They go, man, if we get $5,000, that's more money we've seen our entire life. I'm like,
right.
Property was worth, the ARV is worth about 150. It needed 50 grand worth of work, and they just wanted $5,000. So like I wrote the offer, reverse engineered it, and like we figured out how to present it to the courts. I worked with my title company, and I made a ton of money. I never I don't think I even saw the house.
And this was before the like you helped them get into probate type thing?
Yeah, I did. And that one I used a paralegal for.
Okay.
But often, guys, paralegals are the ones that actually do all the, like they create all the paperwork and everything. And attorneys go to court. Paralegals move the paperwork around. So paralegals know how to do this. And paralegals are about 60% cheaper than an attorney. Now, they usually work with an attorney. So if somebody has to but they need to get an attorney to sign off on it. So worst case scenario, you pay an attorney and do it, and just do the technique I taught you there. My favorite, the best way to find those deals is 100% driving for dollars, because you find rundown houses and you find the reason I didn't do it is I don't want to pay the attorney. I'm like, so just go find your odds. Is there a will? Who's going to object to it? What's going on with the house now? How much repairs it needs? And then I take it to a title company and or an attorney and go, what are my probabilities? If I hit the 70% number, I'm all in. Because if I did 10 of those deals, 7 will work out. I've had some not work out, and I still have liens recorded on properties, and eventually I'd get paid anyways. And look at it as $1,000 investment, because it's got interest rate accumulating on it.
Okay.
So
like I have a property right now that I came across. Like I said, the people died a year ago. It hasn't been in probate. I don't think the bank owns it yet. Like, how do I figure out where it is in that process right now?
So if they haven't found a probate, find out if they have a mortgage on that. They have a mortgage on the house.
Yeah, there's a mortgage.
How far behind are they on it?
What's that?
How far behind are they?
The husband died like 3 years ago. The lady died like 8 months ago, I think. So
just get the information and figure it out. I mean,
I went on the property appraiser. There was an assignment of mortgage from one bank to another. I don't know if that's.
So who have you talked to anybody who's in charge of the family?
No, I couldn't find anybody.
Yeah. So that's, until you get in contact with someone that you can talk to, there's never a deal. I get all this time, I go, Rick, I've got these 10 properties. They look like they'd be great for you. I'm like, I like wince when I hear that. Like so you guys who driving dollars, you know how this works. Like you get 100 and you find like 3 or 4 that like you could even like connect with and talk to. It takes numbers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So people, the value is always talking to the seller. So if you can get that, by the way, probates are probably my favorite way to do a subject to. Why? Think about it.
Yeah, they don't. The mortgage is in their name.
They just typically they want their net or a few bucks, and then you just take over the mortgage and make up the payments. It's easy.
Yeah, and the
I
mortgage isn't in their name either, right? So if the
You never get a fight. They're like, really?
Yeah.
We can do this? I'm like, yeah, it'll make it faster. You actually get a little bit more money, and it's a win-win for everybody all around.
Yeah.
They go, well, what happens if you stop paying? I go, I don't know, unless they start like going to like dead
I don't
people
know.
hitting their credit, which they do anyways.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, banks are infinite. You know, there's people out there that pass away and people cash social security checks for like 30 years afterwards because the bank doesn't know. I'm sorry, the federal government doesn't know, but I don't do that. But I'm just telling you, it's like these banks are like so big, they don't, as long as they get paid, that's all they care about. So if you get a subject to like that, if you could find out someone, go, listen, I have a way where I can just like cash out, take it over. And then that way you could control the property, and very, very simple. I love doing that. I never get an objection on a subject to on a probate. Either they'll do it or they don't. There's never negotiation. Some people like, that's just not right. That's not fair. I'm like, okay, you can't make them do it. But the ones that won't do it, they're like, really? You'll just take it over? And they're like, and then they actually go, well, what happens if you don't pay it? I go, I lose the house.
Yeah.
And then I just gave you a chunk of money. So like, I'm not going to let that happen, but the onus is on me, not you. You're clear. Like, yeah, absolutely. I'll do that. Hands down, my favorite way to do it. So try to get a hold of that owner and say, listen, I can just take over the payments. Hopefully it's not too far behind, make up the payments and find some sort of payoff that'll make it work for you guys. And then, by the way, if it's behind 6 months or more, you're under more pressure to sell it. Like, but if you can keep a property like that, it's not hurting you. You cash flow and you can make some money up front. But say they're 10,000 behind, you just go to the marketplace, you find a buyer that will give you that money, because if you can provide them like a private loan, and that's how I sell it to them, by the way. I go, listen, I'll finance you $80,000 of it, which is the existing mortgage. Plus I'll put my fee on top of it. And they're like, really, you would do that? They're like, you make it very exciting for them. Once they agree to it, then I show them the back end on how we're going to do it. And they're usually very happy with it. I love that. Listen, whenever you can take over bank payments, you save everybody a ton of money, time, and energy. Because banks want to just flip these mortgages like there's no tomorrow. So you'll do well with the probates. Just, you have to sell the service. Every attorney will say you can't do it. You can do it.
Okay. And you just think reverse drive for dollars is a good way to
love it. I think it works really well. You just got to be consistent with it.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it. And then real quick, I just want to say, so I told Zach yesterday I got a call from a sheriff. Some lady took my sticky note and like called the sheriff and was like, hey, there's this sticky note in my house. So I get a call. He's like, hey, this is the sheriff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh shit, what's this about? And
here's what I do. I go, man, I told my guy to stop sticking it on those doors. I'm so sorry. You just kill kindness. You don't want to be on the radar. That's all.
Yeah, he was just like, what is this about? I'm like, oh, I'm just was looking to buy some property in the area.
Do you think the sheriff's got bigger issues?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he didn't care. But I just thought it was funny. I'm like, oh shit. Zach's like, that's how you know you're doing good. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay, man.
All right, Rick. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. See ya. Okay, I know you've been waiting patiently. I'm here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Good, man. What's up, man?
Just a quick question. This is more of a software question. I just watched your video the other day doing the comps on batch leads.
Okay.
So I had a question. So when the number is generated, there's two numbers. There's the estimated value, and then there's the average price. Which one do you use? I'm kind of confused with that one.
So price is price, and value is always open to interpretation.
Okay.
But remember, at the end of the day, though, it is a piece of software, and you guys got to understand, you have to put common sense to it, because sometimes it's just wrong. Like so here's what I don't want you to do. Don't use comps and try to make it fit for the offer that you're getting ready to make, or the worst case, the offer you've already made. If you try to manipulate it, you get really biased. We've all done it. I've done it. Zach's done it. It's just, you got to look at it. The easiest way to look at comps is look at it from a third party. Go, I don't own this home, and I don't know the guy or gal that's buying it. But if I had to guess and I had to bet $1,000 on the price, this is the number. And if you do it like that, you will come up with an accurate number. Value, I hate that interpretation. I've got issues with that. But price is a hard set definitive number, but I see the fluctuation all the time. Guys, remember when I started out wholesaling, you know how I had to get comps? I had to go drive over to a realtor's office and sit down and bribe her with donuts and coffee and listen to all the crap going on in her life for an hour every time. So I bring 10 properties and I go, hey, can we do this, do that? And then I would give her referral listings. I never even got paid anything on houses she listed. So we have come a long way. So like, do not over analyze it. And let me ask you, what's your worst case scenario? If you're really struggling with comps, you're like, I can't find a high or a bottom. What number can you go to that you know will be in there that people can't play with?
Oh, their bottom line.
Go to your property appraiser site.
Okay,
And
my
look
bad.
at the TAV, the tax assessed value, and go, okay, here's the bottom line number. Because it's usually about 70% of what they perceive the market value of it is. And it's a little bit different, but once you understand the ratio of your TAV in your local county to the retail prices, you can figure out what the average discount. It's not perfect. So in the state of Florida, on average, it's about 22 to 25% off the going market rate. So sometimes in the beginning, I used to cheat. I offered everyone the TAV. It was just easy. Now I go even harder and I go lower. Why? Because I want to get the best, lowest price possible. So TAV, if you guys don't understand, it stands for tax assessed value. It's what your county uses to try to figure out what people owe on the taxes. It's just like a fair way, but like honestly, like, and by the way, your sellers know what their TAV is and they rarely want to go below it. It's like a mental roadblock. So remember how we have like the Zillow's estimate? Do you think your buyers your sellers look at that?
Yeah, I think they check it out.
Yeah, they think it's the Bible, by the way. They think that like they did all this. Sometimes it's accurate. By the way, this estimate's getting more accurate as the years go on because they're figuring it out. But your TAV would be like the bottom line bookmark. So you can kind of get a range. And that's what I do. Like if you get completely lost and the data is completely conflicted, like Ryan was talking about, his comps were off 300 grand. Okay, throw the software away. It's not helping you. Go to the TAV, try to find some hard comps in the area off the property appraiser site, and then just figure it out from there. And then go try to get the cheapest price as possible in the house. Just do not spend hours on comps, guys, because that's going to make you a realtor. And I don't want anyone to be a realtor unless you choose to be. Keep in mind, I got realtors in my family. So it's like, I'm not knocking realtors, but being a realtor and a wholesaler is two different stories. Realtors spend a majority of their time analyzing comps. I spend very, very little. I want to analyze motivation and I want to help people solve problems. So if the number gets too tight, I always remind myself, I'm not a realtor. If there's not a big enough discount, I got to go find someone that wants to work with me, or I got to let time and circumstance fix this seller's issue. And by the way, guys, 2023 time and circumstance. Remember I talk about do you ever hear me talk about downward spiraling prices? You know what that means?
No.
It means, so say the house is worth 200,000 and then the homeowner goes to the realtor, well, I want to get it sold. The realtor goes, well, we'll list it for $219,900 because that's what we've done the last 5 years. And I'm going to make you a ton of money. After 30 days, it doesn't sell it. You know what the realtor says? What do they tell after 30 days? We got to reduce the price. Okay. You already know the retail price was 200,000 on it. Now you've waited a month. Do you think the price has dropped probably another 2%? Okay. So the probably has dropped another $4 or $5 grand. Now they go down to 219 to 209. And what happens is the bottom line price keeps dropping and then they're trying to chase it down and they're chasing last month's price and they can never catch up. You know when it catches up to them? When time just like overwhelms them. They're like, dude, 6 months I've had this thing on the market. I give up. And the realtor goes, well, we're gonna have to drop it to like, and then the realtor is my favorite. After like 90 days, the realtor goes, I think we're gonna have to drop it to just below 200, 199.9. That's where you should have started. And the 3 months of BS you just put up with the realtor, you could have had it sold. Now the price has dropped another 10, 15 grand, and you're going to constantly be chasing it until you just decide you want to sell the thing. And that's what you guys are going to go on in 2023. I don't know how long it's going to go on for. I think it's going to go on deep in the summer, probably by fall, maybe Q3, 4, it levels out. Now, the real question is what happens after that? My prediction is we're going to go really flat for a while. And here's the good news is flat is be great for us as wholesalers because we have all this motivation coming down. And then when it goes flat, then your cash buyers can't sit there and keep hacking at you. You have a price barrier point, and that's when you can make a ton of money. And then when it ever goes up a little bit, you guys will make a killing. And I'm telling you, you're in the downward price file. You guys look at prices on houses right now. You go, oh my God, that's a good deal, right? Because now you go, my God, 3 months ago. So you need to take the same mentality as what the market's doing. That's why using the go for no method works very well, because you got to get the stuff at the deepest price. Guys, I went through this in 2009, 10. I felt like I was falling off of a cliff. Every time I got them under contract, the cash buyers wanted it cheaper. So you got to go really low to get these things under contract, because that way you don't have difficult conversations after the fact. You have them up front.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, I got a couple of questions online that I wanted to answer here. Esmeralda's on earlier. I appreciate you. Thank you. Sometimes I just don't get jokes like right off the bat. So Eli says, is PropStream accurate? I like it. I think it's better than Zillow, but I use a combination of both of them anyway. So this was a good comment on there. Experienced investors are all about the money. As Rick explains their experience, and they will take it. You will get taken advantage of, and that's why you got to be very careful. The word mentor is a very dangerous word. So a mentor is someone that should be in your life, highs and lows, no matter what. Even when you switch industries, the mentor should be there. It's someone who gives you guidance and gives you like a moral compass, and you know, like their advice is like really good. So let's see here. Uh-oh. And James says, listen, I'm 6'2", my wife's 5'2". Let's just say my wife's 5'2". That's so funny. It's true. Do you ever feel like you're like just this, like everything, like I don't have to get out the stool. I'll just call my husband or my son to do it. And it's just like, it seems like during holidays and stuff like that, I'm over abused on it. That we need to come up with a word with it called the height abused, something like that. So guys, I appreciate your time. Listen, make sure that you are taking action in 2023 and you understand the shift in market and you're getting out ahead and you do the things we talked about in the beginning of this live. I want everyone to be super successful, and you've got to make the change. You've got to do it. Remember, it's up to you. You have to be accountable. You have to up the quantity, and it is up to you. Nobody else is going to make you do this other than yourself. Guys, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rick Ginn and Zach Ginn. Make sure you're subscribed on Flip with Rick. Go out and get some deals, guys. Have an awesome weekend. And I will be back on Monday evening, and Zach will be on Sunday night. So we'll catch you guys on the live. And make sure you go to my YouTube channel, Rick Ginn. I have lots of new videos posting on there. Never seen before content. Guys, have an awesome one. I appreciate you guys.